You've heard the warnings. Sell your Bitcoin for XRP before it's too late. Are these just rumors, or is there more to the XRP global reserve currency breaking news that we're hearing today? In this video, you're going to hear from the European Central Bank. We're going to hear what Raoul Pal has to say about the falling of Bitcoin dominance. If XRP is to become the global reserve currency, what effect liquidity will have on its price? Something big is happening in Washington, D.C., and Ripple's going to be there. Is Bitcoin behaving the way that it should in order for an altcoin season to take off? How much of your retirement account holds Bitcoin or other cryptos, and how you can fix that? Technical analysis, coin market cap, and so much more. Welcome back to the channel. I'm JR, your favorite crypto dad, and you know what to do. Give me a comment 777 down below if you're feeling bullish, you're feeling blessed, you're living your best life. Smash that like, hit subscribe to affirm it, and let's run into it.
This matter that you referred to, and whether reserves of central bank should or could include Bitcoins, I think there is a view around the table of the Governing Council, and most likely the General Council as well, that reserves have to be liquid, that reserves have to be secure, that they have to be safe, that they should not be plagued by the suspicion of money laundering or other criminal activities. And as a result, I'm confident that reserves will not enter, that Bitcoins will not enter the reserves of any of the central banks of the General Council. I had a good conversation with my colleague from the Czech Republic, and I leave it to him to make whatever announcement he wants to make, but I'm confident that he's convinced, as we all are, of the necessity to have liquid, secure, and safe reserves.
Very interesting coming from Christine Lagarde, who's been over at the European Central Bank for a short while now, shaking things up already. And I wonder who her friend at the Czech National Bank is and what they are specifically talking about over there. But it doesn't take too much digging to find out. The Czech National Bank has been at a crossroads for quite some time over payments between SWIFT or distributed ledger technologies, and a simple scroll down will point out that they have since 2023, the only names that they mention to solve frictions and remedies is Ripple and Stellar. Interesting to say the least, and furthering the discussion on Bitcoin as a global reserve currency versus XRP. Listen to what Raoul Pal has to say here in this conversation with Jamie Coates about the falling of Bitcoin dominance. And let me know what you think in the comments down below, but we're going to go ahead and give this a quick listen for a minute.
Trend exhaustion signals in the Bitcoin chart and fundamental deterioration as well. But I think that's a function more of the transition into higher beta crypto through ETH primarily.
The falling of Bitcoin dominance, which is typical of this point in the cycle anyway, right?
Yes, yeah. And that transition really started, second quarter, but it was very clear by sort of July when I was on paternity leave that transition had occurred, because I looked at the on-chain data on Bitcoin, the ETF flows between Bitcoin and Ethereum, and obviously the price action. And it very much lines up with, that transition period in the crypto market from Bitcoin dominance to high quality alts, not, a dash for trash sort of market that we saw in 2021 when people were getting stimulus checks, but a high quality alt season run at the moment. So that's kind of where I'm at.
It seems to me that this would just be following the typical market cycle. As we talked about in yesterday's video, and I'm going to talk about again when we move into technical analysis, altcoin season always begins with a pullback on Bitcoin. It's the wave of liquidity moving into the big blue chip altcoins, as they pointed out in this interview here, and then it continues to flow on down. Might be a little bit different this cycle, and we'll get into it, but back to the XRP as a global reserve currency and how liquidity inflows would actually affect that. Just understanding XRP, the token, and Ripple's technology, using that and what it has to be used for, that kind of automatically puts the price of XRP somewhere in the 3-digit range. And again, none of this is financial advice, simply informational, educational, and some entertainment purposes only. But to understand that you need, a 3-digit, $100, $120 XRP token just to be efficient in doing its job, that's talking about at a very small use case, a very small amount of market share. And so then you start to see the calculations increase as you take on more tens of trillions of dollars in transactions and sending these packages across the ledger. And so without a doubt, we start to see the price predictions popping off of, into the thousands. And now you're just, looking at 2,000 to 40,000, a pretty narrow range, right? Well, regardless, there's really good news on XRP. There's the ETF news that's coming out. We're going to talk about that in just a moment here. We're looking at this ISO and GHG protocol partnership, which is pretty sweet, listing out the ISO 222 tokens. Back on September 9th, ISO and Greenhouse Gas Protocol announced this landmark partnership. What does it mean? It's ending fragmentation of carbon standards, ISO 1406X and the GHG protocol. It's providing one global language for emission measurements and reporting, reducing confusion, compliance. You see the list and you know who is compliant and who is not. And those are the ones that we like to keep an eye on. Something huge is happening in Washington, D.C. It's called DC FinTech Week. And there's going to be a lot of very important people there. And, not to just be all hype in the news about it. Obviously, you're going to see Amazon Web Services, Visa. Take a look at the platinum tier of guests here, and you will see none other than Ripple right there. Ondo, Circle as well, Chainlink. There's some names that I would have expected to see on this list that I'm not. I don't know, leave your comments down below. Who do you think else could or should be at DC FinTech Week? But more exciting than all of this taking place is the dates, October 14th through the 17th. While DC FinTech Week is going on, we are going to be ramping up into the final decision dates for the XRP ETFs, starting with Grayscale, then 21 Shares, Bitwise, Canary, Wisdom Tree, Franklin Templeton, I think was delayed a little bit further. This list might be old, and Coin Shares. Exciting month of October, it seems to be shaping up. Now, moving on to what's actually taking place in the markets. Now, coming out of our Altcoin Pro University, there is a link down below for that. Stick around for a couple more minutes. I'm going to share some more on that in a moment. But we've been keeping an eye on this $117,000 range for Bitcoin that we rejected off of. This allows us to retest the $115,000 support. Should we lose that support? Where do we go next? Well, we buy the dip. Apparently, we buy the dip right into our retirement accounts, according to Bill Miller, coming out of CNBC, talking about even 2% of the $60 trillion retirement funds could send Bitcoin to a price of $175,000.
There are 60 trillion worth of assets globally in retirement accounts with zero allocation right now to digital assets. Every 1% allocation from that 60 trillion adds $30,000 to Bitcoin's price. And so from my perspective, a 2% allocation would be conservative when you consider that all of those assets are currently in a monetary framework whose authorities have told you they want to depreciate it by 2% a year. So why wouldn't those accounts stake 2% of everything denominated in melting ice cube and stick it in another protocol altogether? So again, that alone would take us to Bitcoin at 175K, or up more than 50% from here. We still think we are incredibly early. We're still seeing early signs of institutional adoption. You look at Norges, the world's largest sovereign wealth fund, almost $2 trillion in assets, has been increasing its exposure to Bitcoin digital assets. It's still a rounding error for them. But when the world's largest sovereign wealth fund, the world's largest endowment in Harvard is now buying Bitcoin, starts to do it, that opens up the door for all the other relevant parties, other endowments, other sovereign wealth funds to do this in a very interesting way.
There is a lot of liquidity moving into crypto exposed retirement accounts. There's a right way and a wrong way to do that. And if you've got some questions about that, you need to listen to this right now.
Do you love crypto, but are you worried about taxes shrinking your retirement nest egg? Here's the deal. Trading and selling crypto can trigger capital gains taxes eating into your wealth. A crypto IRA fixes that. Per IRS publication 590B, traditional IRA gains like those from crypto aren't taxed until distributed. That's why we've partnered with iTrust Capital, a leading crypto IRA company in the USA, to sponsor today's video. And they offer institutional grade custody for retail clients that want to set up their crypto IRAs For retirement, leveraging top storage solutions like Fidelity, Wells Fargo, and Coinbase Prime to keep your assets secure. To get started, simply click the link in the description of this video, sign up for free, and fund your account with cash. They also offer 401k rollovers or crypto transfers, and you can trade 24/7 with just 1% transaction fees and no maintenance costs. As always, I'm not a CPA or financial advisor, so consult one for tax advice, and we do earn a commission if you sign up using our link below to fund your crypto IRA account, but that helps support value-based videos like this. And iTrust Capital already has over 200,000 crypto IRA accounts and over $14 billion in transactions, proving they're trusted by smart investors just like you. So click the link below, get started now by funding your account today, and let's create generational wealth together.
Now, moving into some of the more technical aspect of this video, guys, Bitcoin does show that, as well as Ethereum, that we've got some CME gaps. These are at some pretty low levels. Do gaps always get filled? No, not necessarily. What we're specifically talking about is a gap on Bitcoin, a $92,000 to $94,000 level, and Ethereum, $3,400 to $3,500 level. Again, gaps don't always get filled, but as Ted Pillows points out here, most gaps are filled before a big move, so a correction could happen, right? We've been talking about this for a couple of days. I have been in my videos that you can see that pullback in Bitcoin, right? To be expected, absolutely to be expected prior to moving into an altcoin season. But when you see these gaps on Bitcoin, more so than Ethereum, it looks scary because not a lot of eyes out there want to see a $92,000, $93,000, $94,000 Bitcoin again, and it is possible that we could go there during this retrace. But take a look at the psychology of market cycle and understanding this pattern and how it repeats itself over and over again. Bitcoin historically has made a high, had a larger correction, and then made the final cycle high a little bit higher, not quite matching up with this chart with complacency. But during that pullback is when you start to see the altcoin season take off. And so that's where we start to get into Ethereum and Solana and Binance and all the other projects that start pumping at that point, and their subsequent layer twos and stuff that are on there, tokens that are built on those as well. So let's move into the rest of the data first before we get into the technicals and coin market cap at the time of this recording. Again, none of this is financial advice, right? I'll preface this by saying this is my technicals, not yours. Simply informational, educational, some entertainment purposes only. Hopefully it can help you, just get a different set of eyes, different perspective on your information as you're doing your research. Again, Altcoin Pro University, you're going to get the top-notch trading expert teachers in the industry that are going to be right there in your pocket, and that's going to give you a lot more detailed information than what I'm giving you. But going with the bird's eye view on the markets here, $4.04 trillion total market cap for cryptocurrency. Fear and greed sitting at a 48, which I'm really excited about because, again, that coincides with that pullback on Bitcoin. We'll talk about that $115,000 you see right there on the screen. If you're listening to this, I'm pointing out $115,000 Bitcoin. If you're watching this, you could see that, obviously. CMC 20, which is an index, the coin market cap 20 fund, is sitting at $256.80. It's about flat in the last 24 hours, has not been moving a whole lot over the last few days, consolidating as many other altcoins are doing. Again, pointing out that 48 on the fear and greed index, but more exciting than that is altcoin seasons index. The CMC, the coin market cap altcoin season index, is sitting at a 79. It keeps on creeping up little by little each day. We are now seeing $1.74 trillion, $1.74 trillion for the altcoin market cap. Jumping into the charts, this is a daily candle chart looking at Bitcoin, currently holding, tapping off of this support at $115,000, $115,600. RSI has crossed below its moving average, which would indicate bearish. If that is the case, then we would be looking to see how far we're going to pull back. One of the first areas of support that I'm going to be looking for if we really do start to drop down is going to be starting right around 105, 104,000, somewhere in there. We get down a little bit lower and we start to creep up into that just breaking below 199,000, 98,000. And then you do see that gap. It's a little bit further down. It's an area of support. But that is that $92,000 to $94,000 gap that you see on CME. It also happens to coincide with the technicals that I've lined up as an area of support. But there's two other areas of support before that CME gap that we talked about. And the encouraging part is that we expect a pullback, right? But is it maybe only 105, 106, something like that? Or if we fail and drop below there, is it $100 or $98,000, $99,000, Bitcoin? I don't think we will. Personally, I think the fundamentals are there. I think the market sentiment is there. We don't drop below $100,000 on Bitcoin until the bear market. At that point, we'll have to run the technicals and see where we can, really retrace down to. But whatever, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's enjoy this bull run first and on altcoin season. You'll see the same thing on Ethereum as far as that RSI crossing over its own moving average, consolidating though, nonetheless consolidating. And again, you're going to start to see some of those levels that we talked about as support. If you're looking at the chart, we got $3,600, $3,300. We're not even going to talk about lower than that because there's plenty of support. From here all the way down into the even at the $4,000, $4,200 level. So currently sitting at $4,500 almost at the time of this recording. And then jumping into XLM, XRP, both mirroring the same pattern, consolidating. XRP is consolidating, and it looks like it's got bullish momentum. The RSI has turned back to the upside after crossing below its moving average. So we do see that bullish indicator showing, and it's also been holding support fairly well right around the $2.99, $3 range right there. It has not had a lot of room to drop below there. It's just really been holding on quite well. It seems like market manipulation. A lot of people are saying that in the comments. I'm not going to confirm or deny that because I'm not an insider, so I can't speak to it. But what I can say is that it just doesn't make sense that it wouldn't be moving up as quickly as it could be moving up with the amount of inflows that are coming in to with the ETFs that just came out this past week. With the ETF that came out, lots of inflows. The price should be going up, but it looks like it might just be catching up. One thing is the fact that we are seeing plenty of XRP leaving centralized exchanges. And that's a good thing because that'll create supply shortage, could create supply shock if there's major bullish momentum, and that's when you start to get into price discovery. So you guys know I've been saying it for the last 5 videos. I'm not going to keep on repeating myself over and over again. Bull flag marches out on my charts, my technicals, not your technicals. $4.38, $4.40, something like that, just below the 2618, which is $4.66. And of course, we're all looking for price discovery up in the the $5, $6, $7 XRP range. And I believe one day we'll definitely get there, and a lot higher than that down the road. Not exactly sure when it's going to happen, but we are going to be the ones to share that with you when it does. If you're still looking for a little bit more education, I'm going to encourage you to jump into the link down below to start your free trial for Altcoin Pro University. This is where you're going to get, bar none, some of the best education that's in the industry. And obviously, it's a 14-day free trial, so it's going to allow you to blaze through a lot of these classes on your own and really get your feet wet and get a good feel for it. But this is Altcoin Pro University, where you're going to have a community built into it. Obviously, you've seen some of the news that I've shared with you earlier in this video, but you're also going to see market updates. You're going to see altcoin picks, DeFi yield picks, airdrop picks, etc. And then obviously the classroom, as I just showed you. So if you got questions about technical analysis, crypto, tax, mastery, a lot of people have made a lot of money in crypto and don't know what to do with it, how to deal with the tax implications of that. And that is all at that link below. It's Altcoin Pro University, free trial, but it's $97 a month to throw an expert in your pocket to be able to bring you guys this content. But that is what I've got for you guys in this video. As always, if you gain some value from this, please share it with somebody else so that they can learn as well. Also, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Be blessed.